So today I'm going to be reviewing Undertale, a very emotionally satisfying indie RPG produced by Toby Fox. I wanted to mention in advance that this review contains some spoilers, but I took great care to ensure that nothing beyond the first scene of the game is overtly spoiled. I highly implore you to check out this game on your own, because there's so many moments in this game that I won't be talking about that are better experienced firsthand. The game's only $10 on Steam. It's a great game. So great that the thought of talking about it and finally putting out another review fills me with determination. In my opinion, video games are an incredibly underrated medium for storytelling. Video games can have great characters, depict great conflicts, and convey powerful ideas just like other media. Video games also have the distinct advantage of allowing the player to personally interact with the characters and conflict of a story, instead of experiencing it vicariously through an actor. You might be wondering, Matt, why are you so hyped up about a 2-month-old game that looks like it came out 25 years ago? Well, looks can be deceiving, because Undertale presents some of the best storytelling I've encountered in a video game, and may very well be the best game I've played all year. This is hardly a unique opinion, considering the game has received nearly universal acclaim, but I think a large part of the reason why the game is so beloved is that it sidesteps so many problems that hold back RPGs as a genre. So today I'm going to tell you 4 ways that Undertale sets the bar for future RPGs. For those unacquainted with the story, here's the basic premise. Long ago, there was a war between monsters and humans. Humans, as it turns out, are way more powerful than monsters because of their determination. So the monsters were demolished and sealed away in the underground by a magic barrier. You play as a small, blank-faced looking child who finds a hole in the barrier while walking around in the mountains. You know, as young kids often do. You fall down in the monstrous underworld, and the first character you meet is this friendly fellow.
Howdy, I'm Flowey. You're new to the underground, aren't ya? Golly, you must be so confused.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions.
Someone ought to teach you how things work around here. I guess little old me will have to do. See that heart? That's your soul, the very culmination of your being.
Yeah.
Your soul starts off weak, but can grow strong if you gain a lot of love. What's love stand for? Why, love, of course. You want some love, don't you? Don't worry, I'll share some with you.
Aw, thanks, Flowey.
Down here, love is shared through little white friendliness pellets.
Pellets? What am I, a ferret? Don't do me like that, Flowey.
Hey, buddy, you missed them.
Hey, it's nothing personal, man. I just don't like pellets.
Is this a joke? Are you brain dead? Run into the Blitz.
Oh, no.
You know what's going on here, don't you? You just wanted to see me suffer. Die.
But in the nick of time, you are saved by Toriel, a kind goat in a robe. She carefully escorts you through some ruins in the underground, which are filled with a bunch of human traps and puzzles. Compared to Flower Satan over here, shh, no more tears. Only trash can now. She's pretty nice, making traps painfully easy to navigate and outright leading you through others. This scene accomplishes a lot in just a few minutes. On a base level, you learn that monsters are going to throw a bunch of stuff at your heart that you have to dodge, but you also get exposed to your first monsters and get insight into what monsters think of humans. The very first monster you met tried to kill you, so that already sets a precedent for trusting nobody. Sure, Goat Mom saves you, takes you home, and makes you delicious cinnamon pie, but she seems rather fixated on you never leaving, so yeah. Not taking many strides to rid you of the totally gonna get murdered in my sleep vibe. But this place isn't so bad. I've got my own room, a bunch of old toys, and a box full of other kids' shoes. And I'm starting to feel a little fat from that pie. Fuck it, I'm out. You're dealing with a whole race of monsters that still hold a grudge against humans for sealing them underground. So who can you really trust? And that's the point of the game. As you try to make your way back home, you'll run into a lot of other monsters, and it will be up to you to decide who your allies and enemies are. That leads to the first reason why Undertale is awesome. Number 1, choices matter. Undertale is the game where you don't have to destroy anyone, and that's definitely the first big thing that sets it apart from other RPGs. In RPGs like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy, there's only one solution to your problems. Kill absolutely everything. In Undertale, you have the option of fighting monsters or attempting to get a read on their personality, so you can make them less hostile and spare them. And sure, giving the player more choices about how to act is nice, but allowing the player to feel like their choices made a difference is even better. Most of the decisions you make in Undertale have consequences that change how the rest of the game progresses. I can choose to donate my money to the bake sale run by spiders, or I can recall the time a Black Widow spider landed on my lap during a summer vacation and scream, "Ew, spiders, ew!" and deny them my hard-earned cash. Later on down the road, they might come bust my kneecaps for not supporting the cause. But I'm just a little girl, man. 9,999 G? But I'm too young to hurl myself into the well of economic despair. The world of Undertale is very reactive to your decisions. Even little decisions that don't seem like a big deal in the moment, but then end up coming full circle 4 hours later. You have constant reminders over the course of the game that your decisions are impacting everyone around you. And these reminders go so deep that the characters of the game will even remember decisions you made in previous playthroughs. It's just spooky. You're left wondering, what if I didn't decide to do that? What would they have said? How could things have been different? By allowing the player to choose how to progress and giving those choices noticeable consequences, the player gains a sense of agency. Undertale challenges the player to make real moral decisions that impact their relationships with the characters in the game, their well-being, and sometimes even their lives. Allowing the player to make choices that matter also makes the use of a blank slate character like this blank-faced little girl more effective. Some RPGs have you play as a character with a set identity, clear motivations, and so on, and those are great. But I'm always a big fan of these blank slate characters so that I can insert myself into the story to tickle my ego. I'm always a big fan of these blank slate characters so that I can insert myself into the story according to how the story happens to motivate me. It suits the benefit that games have of putting the player in the middle of the action and allowing them to interact with the story on a personal level. Unfortunately, blank slate characters can end up being pretty stale and boring because they're blank. They're voiceless, nameless, just a husk of a person for you to squeeze your identity into. This boring main character problem manifests when games don't give you choices with real consequences, because then there's no opportunity for you to let your personality come through the character's actions. This is an old example, but in the original Dragon Quest, the only real choice you had was whether or not to save the princess. If you did save the princess, she'd ask you whether or not you loved her, and you could say no, but then she'd just say, "But thou must." "No." "But thou must." "No." "But thou must." "No." "But thou must." "Fine." "Yay." Until you finally cave. And this kind of stuff still springs up in new games, where you can't advance the plot until you give the game the right answer. It'd be nearly impossible for a game to give you truly unlimited choice, but giving you choices that have noticeable consequences allows your personality as a player to come through, shaping your interactions with the world and its characters. This leads into number 2, making every character unique and memorable. The same system of choice that gives your main character a voice and a personality also allows the other characters of the story to let their personalities come out. Across 20 different endings, you could be best friends with a character in one playthrough, learning their ambitions, insecurities, hobbies, and things they're most proud of. And in the next, you could be their sworn enemy, learning what drives them to the edge, what they fear most, and how they act when pushed to the limit. This gives the opportunity for each main character to show some strengths and weaknesses in their own little arc, so that they all feel important to the story. I think this is honestly one of the few games I've played where I've loved every single character, and that is a little audacious to say. Certainly there have been a multitude of great characters across many great RPGs, but I really don't remember too many of their generic enemies. They were just obstacles in my path, and now they're dead. Sure, Undertale's main cast is great and will be emblazoned in my memory for at least the next year, or until my next review comes out, but even the townsfolk and random encounters are memorable. If you take the time, you can actually talk to all the shopkeepers, asking them about their lives, their place in the town, and so on. It's a neat little touch that lets players invest more time into learning about the underground if they choose to. In random encounters, not only do the monsters talk to you as the fight goes on, but you can interact with each monster in a different way. They all essentially have a problem that needs solving, and you have to decide the best way to tackle it. So, in a way, even the monsters have a little character arc. You can flirt with a tsundere airplane and prove to her that she does have a soft side. You can have a terrifying vegetable introduce you to a healthy diet. And you can even scrub the dirt off of a soldier's armor, so that his friend, who's also a soldier, can finally be honest about his true feelings for him. Never in a million years would I have thought that I could make that happen in a video game, but hey, here we are. In an interview with The Escapist, Toby Fox said he felt it was important to make every monster feel like an individual. And if you thought about basically all monsters in RPGs like Final Fantasy, they're all the same, save for the graphics. They attack you, you heal, you attack them, they die. There's no meaning behind it. Because you can uniquely interact with each monster, even random encounters have a bit of personality, instead of feeling like just another obstacle in your path. These interactions require a bit more thought than simply mashing A, as you need to perform the right sequence of actions before you can spare an opponent. This adds a bit more depth to your typical turn-based combat in RPGs, which leads me into number 3, making turn-based combat more interesting. Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy are two of my favorite RPG series, and many great RPGs were inspired by these two granddaddies. But I don't think their gameplay is their strongest suit, because watching two people take turns hitting each other over and over again to gain levels for the slightest improvement in combat effectiveness, while you as a player only have to hit a button to advance things, is boring. Little touches like adding timed hits can go a long way in a turn-based RPG, so that a little more input is required from the player, and the player remains engaged. But Undertale takes it a step further, and avoiding enemy attacks requires you to navigate yourself around projectiles without getting hit too many times. Kinda like Touhou and other bullet hell games, only less hellish. Fuck. I can't even pay attention to any shit that's not right in front of me.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Full power's back.
Yep.
Guarantee I'm gonna lose it in about 5 seconds. Another cool thing about the dodging sequences is that no grinding is required to beat the game. In most RPGs, enemies are constantly able to damage you, and your ability to progress through the game pretty much involves gathering resources, buying better equipment, or taking time out to level up so that you can move on to the next area. You mean to tell me that Edgar learned bio after just 5 minutes of grinding? It's taking me months to learn this shit. I won't say that there's no skill involved in this, but your barrier to progress in these games is more so taking time out to repetitively fight the same enemies until you can move on, and it gets pretty old after a while. In Undertale, the boss fights really stand out in difficulty from the rest of the encounters, and you're unable to progress if your dodging mechanics aren't locked down. And while they never get quite as difficult as a true bullet hell, so much grazing, I'm a cow, I'm grazing.
So if you dodge the first one, you know what I mean? Like, you'll dodge most of it.
What? No, I want to continue. Why? Damn it! I think the challenge is substantial enough. Alright, this is my favorite part. This isn't even that bad. It's all just about the timing. All about the time. Oh no, I'm behind. I am zen. I am just hemorrhaging health right now. No. Oh no, when did this become a platformer? Okay, oh god, okay. No, yep, I'm having a bad time. There are a lot of neat variations on the bullet hell style within Undertale as well. Some requiring you to avoid certain attacks by remaining motionless, some where you avoid stuff by hopping in between 3 strands, some adding gravity to the mix, requiring you to jump across obstacles, the list goes on. This constant variation of the gameplay leads into the fourth, final, and possibly most important thing that helps any game succeed. Number 4, keeping things fresh. We've talked about choosing how to act toward your enemies, learning different ways of dodging attacks, shaping a different world each playthrough with different choices. Undertale does quite a lot to prevent things from becoming monotonous and stale. But if there's one defining thing that every game could learn from Undertale, it's how you set the tone of a story. I think too many games fall into the trap of trying to tell a deep and complex story, but being serious and gritty the entire way through. But if the tone of your game doesn't change and things stay intense, then the player never really has an opportunity to decompress and absorb the gravity of the action or situations that they were just in. By carefully weaving in moments of levity, not only does the player get a chance to chill out, but it also makes the serious moments have a lot more impact. Overall, Undertale is actually a really lighthearted game. You're just a kid frolicking around in the underworld, and sure, everything wants to kill you, but the characters are all silly and the dialogue is legitimately hilarious, and several moments of the game had me laughing out loud. Aw man, legendary artifact, now we're getting somewhere. Heck yeah, I'm gonna take it. Too many dogs. How many dogs on me? Oh, I guess I do have a dog on me. What the fuck? That's the baseline. Nothing serious or over dramatic, just pure fun. But Undertale is incredibly dynamic in its tone, and once the player gets comfortable with things being silly and fun, the rug gets pulled out from underneath them, and things start to get emotional or unsettling or just outright surreal.
Have at me, dog! You have no hopes of beating me, cause I know your secret weakness. Blast! He's adapted. Well, how about some of this? Gah, his tolerance levels are greater than I thought. But I've never been beaten in a dogfight. I've trained for years just for this moment.
Sir, the dog is reaching critical mass!
Just a bit farther. We can't go back now. We're past the point of no return. Gah!
The silly stuff cushions the blow for many of the more serious moments in the work, and it also creates much more interesting characters. You're able to see multiple facets of their personality come out, not just what they're like when they're happy and things are going well, but also when the tension has escalated and they're pushed to their limit. If there are a few things I could possibly criticize about the game, I'd probably say that the artwork isn't as overwhelmingly good as the gameplay and storytelling. The monster sprites, especially those of the main characters, are good, and do a great job communicating the inflection of speech with just slight changes of facial expression, but other portions of the art just look really flat and two-dimensional, so that might be a bother to some people. In addition, the world itself felt kinda stale, with cities like Snowdin, and Waterfall, and Hotland. Because of this, I really didn't have a whole lot of drive to explore the world, which is a shame because there are a crap ton of secrets in this game that players are still unearthing. Lastly, the difficulty really spikes at the boss fights, and the rest of the game was pretty easy in comparison, so I wouldn't say that the pacing was perfect either. But don't let these criticisms hold you back too much. I think Undertale sets a good standard for future RPGs by allowing you to make choices that matter, making every character unique and memorable, making turn-based combat more interesting, and keeping things fresh. And to put sprinkles on the cupcake, the soundtrack, which you've been listening to this whole time, is really great, and its use of pitch shifts, key changes, and leitmotifs set the tone for the game well.
There are only a few games that have made me legitimately teary-eyed by the end, and this was one of them. Undertale did such a great job setting a contrast between its fun and serious moments, getting you attached to its characters and their antics, and then dropping the serious ethical mind bombs on you, as you get to decide who lives and who dies. Most games have the capacity to be really fun and pass the time for a while, and some think that's all games are, or all games should be. But when a game gets you to think and feel about something strongly and enriches your life in that way, then that's a game worth playing. It's so great! I think I might just have to play it a fourth time.
Hey, I like your dinosaur costume.
You torpid, doughy knave. This is not a costume. I'm a dinosaur.
Okay, you seem a little irritable, so how about some different words?
Antonyms. What sort of twisted person are you? Oh boy, 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 oh boy.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button and leaving your feedback down in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, click on that subscribe button. I've got more reviews coming down the pipeline. And if you want, you can also check out this video here where I talk about Shovel Knight. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.
Shit.